Then my another question. So when we decided to have a authors launch in our Cibf, we decided to have photos of popular authors. We selected 6 authors. So one is Thiruvalluvar, another is Shakespeare, then Gabriel Garcia Marquez to represent the Spanish-speaking countries, and Rabindranath Tagore from India, and 2 more. So while comparing Thiruvalluvar and Shakespeare, so the name comes to our mind is none other than our Dr. IRAIANBU sir. Sir has done a wonderful work comparing the titans, that is comparing Thiruvalluvar and Shakespeare. I would like to sir to give a glimpses of that work.
Respected co-panelists, Dr. Thomas Hitoshi, Ms. Meena Kandasamy, and Dr. Shankara Saravanan, and the enlightened audience here. The very reason for comparing Thiruvalluvar and Shakespeare is certain features common between the two writers. Initially, there was a resistance from the other scholars that how Thiruvalluvar could be compared with Shakespeare because the genres are different. Thiruvalluvar had the couplets written in epigrammatic and didactic style, whereas the creative works of Shakespeare are plays, long poems, and sonnets. However, according to the US School of Comparative Literature, we can compare any genre with any genre if you have certain common features. So I ventured to do it, and already I had a predecessor, Dr. K. Chellappan, who wrote a small article comparing Thiruvalluvar and Shakespeare. Thiruvalluvar and Shakespeare both are rebels in their own way. Thiruvalluvar questioned the established system in so many ways, and he attacked the very system of convention that was prevalent in Tamil Nadu. Even in his poetic style, he followed the couplets, whereas the people before him went for long poems. Similarly, Shakespeare also overthrew the 3 unities: the unity of time, the unity of place, and the unity of theme. He never followed the comedy or tragedy as a theme, but he introduced tragic comedy in his plays. Again, Thiruvalluvar and Shakespeare have dwelt upon 5 basic things which are essential for any period of time. The first is life affirmation. Albert Schweitzer appreciated TIRUKKURAL only for one reason, that it was life affirmative. Shakespeare is also life affirmative, and we could compare the blood-curdling tragedies by Seneca or others, and even by the university wits, whereas Shakespeare believed in life affirmation, and that could be evident not only from his sonnets but also from his comedies as well as from his plays. The second aspect is the humanism. One of the best poet couplets, which has the quintessence of empathy, what we call today, is what does a man from wisdom gain if he pines not at others' pain? This summarizes the need for empathy today, and Thiruvalluvar places compassion, empathy at the top rungs of the ladder of life. We can compare a character called Coriolanus in the plays of Shakespeare, where Coriolanus has been criticized by another character called Valeria. She says this Coriolanus, when he was young, used to chase the gilded butterflies, catch them, leave them, again catch them, and leave them, and torture them. Butterflies are innocent creatures, and at a young age he was torturing the butterflies. What could we expect from Coriolanus? That symbolizes the empathy and humanism aspect of Shakespeare. There are many instances where we can find the exact thought of Tiruvallur reflecting in the works of Shakespeare. For example, Tiruvallur says that we cannot do any quid pro quo to the rain, which rains unconditionally and makes this entire world prosperous. The same thing is found in the work of Shakespeare in The Merchant of Venice, where Portia says, mercy is like the rain that pours unconditionally. There are so many characters where humanism is being reflected in the works of Tiruvallur as well as in Shakespeare. We should also remember that Shakespeare wrote in an era which was more related to tragedy, which was more related to the other aspects of life rather than the humanism aspects. We can say, as Bernard Shaw says, that Shakespeare never had a hero in his plays, he never had a theme. That's the general criticism. Even Tolstoy said like that. But Shakespeare always had a theme that the villains have to be punished in the end, and the fall of all these people due to some tragic flaw will happen. The fall will happen certainly, and it is also one of the themes that is advocated by Shakespeare. The third important aspect is the management aspects of Tiruvallur and Shakespeare. We all know about a beautiful couplet about on delegation. That is, we should entrust the work to the correct person who can do it by the correct means, not by incorrect means. That is what Tiruvallur says. And Shakespeare also highlights the importance of hierarchy in his play Henry V. The importance of listening is stressed by Tiruvallur in his couplet on communication. He has allocated a separate chapter on listening. Shakespeare also highlights about a character, Falstaff, who suffers from the disease of not listening. There are so many aspects: delegation, entrusting the work, time management, dedication, assertiveness, negotiation skills. They are all advocated by Tiruvallur as well as Shakespeare. The fourth important dimension is on communication. Tiruvallur has allocated 100 couplets exclusively on communication, which includes a chapter on non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication in the chapter on wealth, no, the chapter on the volume on power. The volume on power is different from the non-verbal communication indicated by Tiruvallur in the volume on desire. So, they distinctly differ because to decipher the language of love from the eyes of the people is different from understanding the chicanery from the eyes of the people. These two are totally different. Again, we can also understand about the importance of audience, what to be communicated, how to communicate. Shakespeare's popular adage is brevity of the wit. Polonius says it, but he never follows it in the play Hamlet. Brevity is the soul of wit is evident from the couplets itself written by Shakespeare. We had contemporaries of Shakespeare whom Shakespeare himself calls the rival poet Christopher Marlowe, but Christopher Marlowe never excelled in humor, whereas Shakespeare was excelling in the humor. Tiruvallur has also excelled in humor, particularly his chapter on the evil-minded people indicates how humorous he was. On communication, Tiruvallur has emphasized the need for good audience, understanding the audience, a rich vocabulary, brevity and other aspects, and they are all evident from two characters in the play Julius Caesar. One is Brutus and the other is Antony. Brutus starts saying that, countrymen, listen to me so that you will be benefited, whereas Antony says, lend me your ears. So again, the fifth chapter is as communicators. Tiruvallur has coined more than 100 words and he has donated 100 words to Tamil language. For example, Kattalaikal, Oorini, they were all coined by Thiruvalluvar. Shakespeare has coined so many words and he has contributed next to only to Bible as far as the English language is concerned. And there is a book specifically on the terms contributed by Shakespeare, that is Brush Up Your Shakespeare. So in many ways, I find similarities not only in expressions, but the same thoughts of Thiruvalluvar reflected. For example, Shakespeare says, grief makes 1 hour 10, and the same thing Thiruvalluvar also says, till the spouse returns, 1 hour seems to be very long. So there are so many similarities, so many parallels, and I feel that those two titans could be compared and we can learn from them. Thank you.
So thank you very much for your elaborate comparison of Valluvar and Shakespeare. We on different ways how the on empathy and communication, and particularly in communications are as explained that non-verbal communication, that is Arigaram in Tamil you call it Kuriparidal, it is in desire and as well as in power. The only chapter name that repeats twice in Tirukkural, that is Kuriparidal, non-verbal chapter. So and all other aspects how Tirukkural can be compared to Shakespeare works, and thanks a lot.